We back. Wearing my Pinche Miguel Jordans. Getting ready to do some shit with purpose here on a Wednesday. Just laying some lines down. Gonna try to get this finished up. Gonna chisel in some extra work before I head to bed in a little bit. Make sure that the people I'm trying to illustrate actually look decently human. Do you dig? I knew you would. So, shit going on around the country today. Apparently, the Attorney General of the United States likes to argue. About whether or not she's protecting pedophiles. And so, here in just a minute, once I'm sure I've got some good line laid down, we're going to take a brief moment. And we're going to see about getting into some of that shit. Hearing Jamie Raskin lay a case down. Small introduction. Descriptive. And it's funny because he's got a little bit of a lighter voice. A little high pitched. But he's got good delivery. His shit sounds pretty punishing. And I guess that's the way it is when you speak and spit the facts. When you know that somebody should be ashamed, but they're not gonna be. So, always got that angry uncle energy. The kind that looks at you and is like, oh, so you're still getting gonorrhea at this age, huh? Yep. Hopefully you don't get that look. Because if you do, there's a whole lot of risks going on. And you ain't got to be that guy. You ain't got to be that guy, baby. I'm going to get a little paint in here really quickly. And I will go to Jamie Raskin in just a minute because the excoriation is pretty bar none. Typically in a painting, lot of people will, well, a lot of your instructors, if any of you go to art school or take suggestions, some people will discourage you from using pure black. I do not. I only say don't overuse it. Yeah, her eye's looking a lot better like that. So we'll get a little depth in there in a little bit, because her eyes, the subject here, eyes are ridiculously dark. Of course, the dude who snapped the picture, they're well, and the model, they're from Turkey, so that darkness in certain features, in not darkness, but the saturation in certain features. I mean, some of the people there, their eyes are so damn like dark. It's like you could friggin' fall into them. It's void. Intense, weighted, you know, and that's not to be a negative. It's extremely distinct. Kind of like when you see you know, people from like South American tribes or certain African tribes, and they've got, you know, really distinct features that are unique just to them, and it's, you know, things that a lot of people will envy. And so definitely on the Mediterranean, these old kingdoms, there is a lot of that. All right, it's pretty clear I'm gonna have to work on the weight of the eyebrow a bit, but until I do that, we're gonna go ahead and quit fooling about. We're bringing Jamie Raskin into the game, because if there's a fella that can actually bring the game, it's that fella. So we're going to get a little dramatic with the music, because I think it deserves it. The excoriation. And we're going to have to go with good old Holst to open things up.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Attorney General Bondi. You've got the best lawyer's job in America, because your mission is justice and your clients are the American people. But to promote justice for the people, you've got to listen to the victims, like the women seated behind you today. Those are just some of the hundreds of survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's global sex trafficking ring who are demanding that the truth be told and are demanding accountability for the abusers who trafficked and raped them. You still haven't met with these survivors. So with their permission, let me introduce to you the survivors and late survivors' family members who are present today. There's Teresa Helm, there's Jess Michaels, Laura Bloom McGee, Danny Bensky, Liz Stein, Marina Lacerda, Sky and Amanda Roberts, who are the family of the late Virginia Giuffre, Charlene Richard, and Lisa Phillips. Now, you're not showing a lot of interest in the victims, Madam Attorney General, whether it's Epstein's human trafficking ring or the homicidal governmental violence against citizens in Minneapolis. As Attorney General, You're siding with the perpetrators and you're ignoring the victims. That will be your legacy unless you act quickly to change course. You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by subpoena and by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million. You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there, and you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do. Even worse, you shockingly failed to redact many of the victims' names, which is what you were ordered to do by Congress. Some of the victims had come forward publicly, but many had not. Many had kept their torment private, even from family and friends, but you published their names, their identities, their images on thousands of pages for the world to see. So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked. This performance screams cover-up. Convicted sex trafficker and groomer Ghislaine Maxwell opened the gates of hell to Virginia Giuffre and hundreds of other victims, as Virginia recorded in her remarkable book, Nobody's Girl. But when Maxwell was subpoenaed to come testify before Congress, you and Todd Blanche quickly moved her from a higher security prison to a minimum security camp in Texas, where she's enjoyed 5-star treatment, including catered meals, private gym time, and access to a therapy puppy. All because Todd Blanche, who's utterly failed to investigate the monstrous crimes of Epstein and Maxwell's co-conspirators, spent 9 hours with Maxwell and satisfied himself that she would have nothing untoward to say about Donald Trump, which is your only real interest in the matter, based on institutional performance. But abandoning victims and coddling perpetrators is what you do best. When the FBI opened a criminal investigation into the brutal killing in Minneapolis of Renee Good, a poet and 37-year-old mother of 3, by Trump's masked paramilitary ICE agents, you shut it down. You claim you're investigating the cold-blooded murder of Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse at the VA. But how can we trust the administration when the president and Kristi Noem call Preddy a domestic terrorist, and Stephen Miller called him a would-be assassin? Not only do you refuse to share evidence with the state and local investigators and prosecutors in Minnesota, you have blocked their access to the crime scene and the evidence. How are you seeking justice for Marimar Martinez, the Montessori school teacher in Chicago who was shot 5 times by a Border Patrol agent who bragged about it on text? Or the family of Keith Porter, a father of 2 shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent in LA? Or the family of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, shot and killed in Illinois minutes after he dropped his kids off at school? There's no sign of any movement at the Department of Justice. You even launched a criminal investigation into Renee Good's grieving widow. How sick is that? But it's even worse. You've turned the People's Department of Justice into Trump's instrument of revenge. Trump orders up prosecutions like pizza, and you deliver every time. He tells you to go after James Comey, Letitia James, Lisa Cook, and Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve Board, and members of Congress like Adam Schiff, Mark Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin, Chrissy Houlihan, Jason Crow, Chris DeLuzio, and Maggie Goodlander, to name a few, and you snap to it. You replace real prosecutors with counterfeit stooges who robotically do the president's bidding. Nothing in American history comes close to this complete corruption of the justice function and contamination of federal law enforcement. And the good news is many serious lawyers at DOJ, including some of your own original employees, have refused your lawless orders. Danielle Sassoon, your original pick for acting U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, resigned rather than follow your corrupt order to quash an indictment against Mayor Eric Adams as a political favor from Donald Trump. A Federalist Society member who clerked for Justice Scalia, U.S. Attorney Sassoon refused to participate in this blatantly corrupt scheme. Her top assistant, Hagen Scotton, an Iraqi war vet and two-time Bronze Star recipient who clerked for Chief Justice Roberts, and then Judge Kavanaugh, promptly resigned too, writing to your office, quote, "I expect you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion, but it was never going to be me." You and the president nominated Eric Siebert, a 15-year career prosecutor, to be your U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia.
Let's take that back a bit.
After 5 months of investigating Letitia James and James Comey, he found no evidence to justify criminal charges. So you forced him out. You replaced him with Lindsay Halligan, Trump's personal lawyer from the Mar-a-Lago documents case, who had zero prosecutorial experience and no qualifications. And then you were humiliated when a federal judge found that this corrupt appointment was blatantly unlawful and threw out Halligan's indictments entirely. And grand juries of American citizens have repeatedly rejected your vendettas and baseless indictments brought by the hacks left at DOJ now, with 2 different grand juries in Virginia voting down indictments against Letitia James in a single week. And just yesterday, another grand jury shut down your vendetta factory by rejecting indictments against the 6 members of Congress who had spoken out to remind all service members that they have a duty to refuse illegal orders. You tried to get a grand jury to indict 6 members of Congress who are veterans of our armed forces on charges of seditious conspiracy simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. I hope you will heed the wisdom and the constitutional patriotism of those grand jurors and not try it again by doubling down on that humiliation. As your best lawyers are sacked for having participated in the January 6th case or just flee for the exits now, your new lawyers keep lying in court. In dozens of cases, they've been excoriated for lying to federal judges. Chief Judge Boasberg, right here in D.C., suggested your Department of Justice perpetrated a fraud on the court. Other judges found your statements to be, quote, inexplicably misleading, patently incredible, totally inconsistent, and so disingenuous that the court is left with little confidence that the government can be trusted to tell the truth about anything. Now, as ranking member, I asked the chairman to add a few extra rounds of questions today because we each have 5 hours of questions, not 5 minutes, but we're stuck with 5 minutes. That's clearly insufficient to give voice to America's victims and survivors and to demand answers about all the corruption and cover-ups that we see at DOJ right now. We've got just 1 round, so we ask you politely but firmly, Madam Attorney General, please do not waste 1 second of our precious time by evading questions, by changing the subject, or engaging in personal attacks against members of Congress. We saw your performance in the Senate, and we're not going to accept that. This isn't a game. In the Senate, you brought something with you called a burn book, a binder of smears to attack members personally for doing the people's work of oversight. Please set the burn book aside and answer our questions, and when you hear us reclaim our time, that means it's time for you to stop speaking. We only have 5 minutes, so when we reclaim our time, that means you stop. If you don't, we will ask the chair to stop the clock and let you go on his time. The quality of justice in America depends on the character of our government. Please do your job and bring the Department of Justice back from the brink. The survivors seated behind you and the American people watching everywhere deserve a Department of Justice worthy of its name. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Support journalism you trust.
Good
Support
God.
PBS News. Donate now or...
Raskin has a cold piece. He let loose on that mess. That was good form, old man. Good form. We got about 2 more rounds of this I can do. A.G. Pam Bondi, live hearing. She's a mess. Should I listen to the Bulwark? Might be a little alright. I kind of like where PBS is at, though. PBS. We might go with PBS because this goes better unadulterated. And I have a feeling that I got to go with Jasmine Crockett. Why does she look zombie? Oh my gosh. Bondi looks all zombied out there. Poor Pam. How are we going to get this done?
A gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Thank you so much.
Oh, the gentle lady from Texas. All right, I better calm down. Gentle lady from Texas. Probably shame me into shame. One can hope. All right. Let's get it going.
A gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear, I'm not going to ask any questions of this witness because this witness has revealed that she has no intentions of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballant, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors, because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ, as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country, because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massey, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on, and frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ, because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter, so let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, "This is a good one." Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Smith is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many
Thank
years.
you, thank you.
I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions, because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
That's all she did the whole time, isn't it? It's kind of servile. So I know there was probably at least a couple of times where she got upset enough that she stuttered or messed up some words. I gotta find that stuff. That's my gold. That's my bread and butter. That's part of why I breathe, goddammit. So, in a second, just as soon as I do a little bit of shade here, I'm gonna look for more shade. Yeah, fuck that shit. Alright, Holst. Let's find something else dramatic. Holy shit. They're going to save PBS 256. Is that 256 million? No, 256,000. I'm sorry, PBS. We'll get through this presidency. Have
Thank
some
you kindly, Mr. Tripp.
public funding back to public broadcasting, which I think is absolutely necessary as a fellow who grew up with Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross, two of the most unique fellas, super educational. Uh-oh. She's gonna throw a fit. This could be worth something.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here.
Alright, let's set it up, baby. Let's see how clean we can get this. Mr. Chairman. Fucking Jim Jordan. This is the guy who we trust to run a to chair the oversight committee that's happening right now on a subject which I have my doubts about his ability to be indifferent. Given history, you know, whole wrestling program, diddler thing. It's like the Joker said, this town preserves a better class of criminal. All right. Let's get to it, goddammit. All right, Holst, take us in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here. Attorney General Bondi, 6 days ago, you posted online, quote, "If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you," end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It's about 30 seconds, and I'll ask you a couple questions about it.
You guys are disgusting, man. Hey, you guys are disgusting. I'm former law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it because you're chasing your pension, right? Pension. Your retirement, right? That's what runs your life, your retirement. The sad thing is they're not even going to get their pension because it's going to be worthless. And shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah. Fuck that. Yeah.
Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling "kill him" at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of Justice.
He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling "kill him" at police officers? Right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling "kill him" at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did. But in any event, let's talk a little bit about some of the other divisions within the Department of Justice and what's happened over the last year. You're familiar with the Public Integrity Section of the DOJ's Criminal Division. I think it's referred to as PIN. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know which presidential administration under which the PIN was first created?
I can tell you what administration that the weaponization was ended under.
I'll reclaim my time. This wasn't a trick question.
You don't get to
Madam Attorney
reclaim
General.
your time.
Madam Attorney General.
Because I don't like
Mr. Chairman,
I
will
don't
you explain to
answer
the
a
witness that
question the way
he
you like
does
it.
reclaim his time?
Because I don't answer a question to your satisfaction.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from Colorado.
The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I'm not asking a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office because you have gutted it. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the Criminal Division today?
Can I answer the question about Penn?
I've asked you a question. How many
You've
people
asked me
work?
a question, but you don't
How
want
many
the answer.
people work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer Penn.
You.
Penn will not be
you know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's
Madam
funny
Attorney
about
General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about this?
Chairman, you know what the answer is? And I think I
What's
understand why
funny
the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you don't want to tell the American people who works there.
Yeah, I
no one
understand
works
why
there
you don't want to
anymore,
talk about
Madam
Mohammed
Attorney General.
Solomon in
So,
your district.
In any event,
who
I would-
murdered people.
Mr. Chairman, will you stop the clock so his time is not wasted by
I've
the
been
witness?
very generous with allowing extra time when we have these little disputes.
I understand.
You got the time.
I might as well ask the chairman these questions.
I'd be happy
because
to
what is
answer your
what's,
questions.
what's profound? The questions
Profound?
I've asked,
The crime in your
I've
district.
asked, Mr. Chairman, are not trick questions. They're not gotcha questions. They're actually basic questions about how the Department of Justice functions, and the unwillingness of this Attorney General to answer them in good faith. When a member of Congress asks how many people work at the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team, and the Attorney General refuses to answer it, it is not a coincidence. It's because she eliminated the team. Why? Because her boss, the President of the United States, is making money hand over fist, $1.4 billion over the course of the last year through cryptocurrency holdings. I think what is happening at the Department of Justice is a disgrace, Mr. Chairman, and I would urge you to gain control of this hearing. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Yeah. I would ask the gentleman, does he agree with the standing up of the Deputy Attorney General for dealing with fraud? That's something that's happened in this administration. First time. You talked about Penn. That happened with this Justice Department.
We're talking about this committee.
Mr. Chairman, had you answered the question, had the Attorney General answered the question in that way, perhaps this hearing would have some modicum of resembling something that has typically been fairly conventional, an oversight hearing of the Department
That's
of
kind
Justice.
of lame.
Gentleman's
That is
time
not
has
this.
expired. The gentlelady from Wyoming is recognized for 5 minutes.
Attorney General Bondi, I want to express my gratitude to the President.
Express my gratitude to the president. Let's see, Jerry Nadler. Oh, I know she's going to get mad at him just because he's a little frumpy guy.
Be helpful.
And it was extensive. Yes, Congressman. Thank you.
Time of the gentleman has expired,
I have a UC, Mr. Chairman.
and that is the gentlelady from Texas.
I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record. El Paso airspace reopened after FAA quickly rescinds 10-day flights restriction. This was published by the Texas Tribune on February 11th, 2026, and it says it was because of an impasse with the DoD over the use of unmanned
objection, without
military
objection.
aircraft
Without
and not
objection.
triggered by Mexican cartel drones.
Without objection.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear back about the second round of questions. I assume that's not happening. I just want to be able to assure the members, certainly on my side, if not both sides,
That's
that,
not a point of order.
no, that every
question
member
you
will
had.
get 5 minutes with the witness. Will there be 5 minutes for each?
Yeah, you get 5 minutes. Yeah.
With the witness. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. Okay. And
Very good.
are you up next? Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I want to begin by acknowledging the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific abuse.
All right. Little Mr. New York.
Mr. Chairman,
Damn, Nadler.
Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Holst. It fits so much shit. It's the only one that fits perfectly. Well, if anybody's watching tonight and you want to comment or ask me some questions, let me know that my video sucks or something. That's all good. Give me the feeds backs. We can handle it. And we will handle it. All right. Oh, the slow beginning. Rumbly.
Mr. Chairman, I want to begin by acknowledging the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific abuse who are in the room with us today. I want to thank all of you for your bravery in speaking out. I want to say that you and the other survivors of these heinous crimes deserve better from this Department of Justice. In particular, it is shocking that the department did not redact the names of Epstein's victims, but it did redact the names of their abusers. I don't know whether this was done out of incompetence or whether it was deliberate and malicious, but either way, it is completely unacceptable. Even more troubling, the DOJ has failed to bring any of these perpetrators to justice. Instead, it has engaged in a relentless pursuit of Donald Trump's perceived enemies. I want to focus on just one example. The Attorney General of my home state of New York, Tish James. This DOJ has been hell-bent on securing an indictment against Ms. James for something, anything, simply because she held Donald Trump's companies accountable for years of financial fraud. And indeed, the department manufactured an investigation against her for alleged, quote, mortgage fraud. But the U.S. attorney leading the investigation, Eric Siebert, a Trump appointee, refused to bring charges against Ms. James because there was simply no evidence. Unfortunately, the prosecutor who refuses to do Trump's bidding has no place in this DOJ, so Mr. Siebert was forced out. Trump could not contain his fury that he expressed to you in a social media post addressed to you by name. I'm sure you've seen it. Quote, I fired him and there is a great case, he wrote to you about Mr. Siebert. Then we moved down. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. Obviously, you followed that order. Lindsay Halligan, Trump's former defense lawyer who had never prosecuted a case in her life, was installed to replace Mr. Siebert, and it was clear that part of her mandate was to go after Ms. James. Halligan immediately sought an indictment, which the court dismissed because Halligan was illegally put into the role. But your department was undeterred. Not once, but twice, it tried to indict Attorney General James in separate courts. Both grand juries rejected you and refused to indict her. It is practically unheard of for a grand jury to refuse an indictment. In 2016, it happened in just 6 cases out of over 150,000 offenses. And you had it happen twice in the same week, in 2 different courts. That must have been humiliating. And now there are reports that you are continuing to investigate her. The amount of resources that have gone into targeting Attorney General James, months of investigations, multiple failed indictments, is astounding. Since your own prosecutors told you that there is not enough evidence to support a conviction, it's clear that you were going after her simply because she held President Trump accountable and he wants to punish her. And she is just one name on a long list of Trump political enemies that DOJ is reportedly targeting. From Jerome Powell and Lisa Cook at the Federal Reserve to James Comey, numerous Democratic members of Congress, John Brennan, Jack Smith, Democratic officials in Minnesota, Chris Krebs, Miles Taylors, and more. And those are just the ones we know about. In contrast to these politically motivated investigations, grasping at something they can charge their enemies with, we now have concrete evidence of disgusting criminality revealed in the Epstein files. So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First,
how dare you?
You showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No, you're going to answer the question the way I asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to me.
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs
I think it's very interesting.
Reclaiming my time.
I think it's very interesting.
And you can
when
reclaim
he talks about they indicted, the president said they indicted him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock and restore his time.
Okay, here we go.
Committee will get order. Time belongs to the gentleman from New York. We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to answer.
The question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like the answer, Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest. So he asked a 4-minute question.
Restore 45 seconds,
I am
Mr. Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, oh, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I
Not a
said that
few,
already.
45 seconds.
Okay,
said that
I'm
already.
timing right now, Mr. Nadler.
All right.
In my time, the answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0. You have been the Attorney General for a whole year. Your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, you included personal information about the victims while protecting the names of abusers.
Time of the gentleman
None of the
has
perpetrators
expired.
have been brought to justice, but enormous resources
Time of the
dedicated to
gentleman has
combating Trump's
expired, and
It's
obviously
clear that under your leadership, the Department of Justice
there was
no longer
no
works
question
as
in there.
it works
to respond
Donald
to.
Trump. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
I think our next questioner, Madam Attorney General, is going to give you time to respond to
Thank you, Chairman.
all kinds of things. So we will turn to the gentleman from Texas for 5 minutes.
Miss Bondi, you go right ahead. I'm over here. The time is yours.
Oh, what a gentleman.
Thank you. First, he brought up the president saying they indicted him twice. They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice. And you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump,
Why?
the Dow right now, the Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does the Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year. National median rents have fallen to a 4-year low, thanks to Donald Trump. That's why they want to focus on Epstein and our most transparent president in the nation's history.
Oh my God.
The murder rate, as I said, has plummeted to a 125-year low, thanks to Donald Trump. For an unprecedented 9 straight months, there were 0 illegal border crossings at the southern border. That's what we should be focused on. All the great work that this president has done and will continue to do to keep America safe and to make Americans safe.
Thank you,
That
Attorney General
is
Bondi. I agree with you totally. I think you've done a
all
fine job.
fiction.
I think that Democrats, in fact, should be apologizing to the Epstein victims for doing nothing during the 4 years that they were running the government. We did not hear about this, and it took you and President Trump to finally provide transparency and give answers to the American people, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you also for standing up for truth today and for fighting
Who is this
back
friggin'
against
cuck?
the theatrics and the time waste that you will endure over the next hour or two. I want to apologize on behalf of my colleagues on the left.
Jesus Christ, bro.
They're
She
not
is
all
not
that
gonna
bad,
get
but
with
they've
you.
got to put on a show. And I'm sorry that you have to go through that. And I would like to
I'm
yield the
sorry.
last, I'd say 40, even 40 is 80 seconds. The clock says 40, but I've got 80 seconds since I was so rudely interrupted, and I'll give all 80 seconds to Chairman Jordan.
And I would just yield to the Attorney General if she has anything to add.
I'm fine to continue. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, the chair now recognizes, the gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would note that Mr. Nadler's question has not yet been answered, but I want to start by asking that out of respect for the American public and the Epstein survivors, some of whom, of course, are here today, that we can have a transparent conversation and get the public the answers.
The most transparent president. Yeah, that was kind of a nice transition there. Kind of dug it. Kind of dig it. Quite dug. Shit. I have frayed the hell out of this paintbrush. Poor guy. I'm beating the heck out of it. No, that's definitely earned me back. It's $12 worth. I'm gonna have to get some stuff to treat it and get the bristles straightened back out nice and sharp. And I could probably do it with a little bit of oil and a heat gun. Oh yeah, that would do the trick. Yeah, I'd better get off of this. I don't know if these other ones are going to get me copyright stricken. This is the waltz. Oh, maybe not. We can listen to the Armenian Philharmonic. Good God. I believe you just lied under oath.
Mr. Liu. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today.
I like how that started. Mr. Liu. All right. Let's hear what you got to say, teddy bear.
Mr. Liu. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today.
I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Under the law Congress passed, you were allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face.
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have now established that we, please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a sex trafficking victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's sex operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You
I've
twice.
been claiming my
You
time.
never
I agree
mentioned-
with you. I agree with you. During the
You not hear
Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
Can I answer
Donald
that,
Trump.
though?
I want to move on to another
Can I answer
question.
your question about protecting?
You answered the question.
You're
You're
saying
claiming
no.
my time.
I want to discuss
Reclaiming
another
my
man,
time.
Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's the video. Like
Oh my.
former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got
released.
your answer. You said there's no
President
evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please
I'd like
stop
to
the clock.
reclaim my
Please
time.
stop the clock.
the legislation.
Time.
This is
Time.
this is
Like to
Time
reclaim
ridiculous.
my time.
time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence
shit.
in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of
You just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's
Did
Threat
she call him a
Operations Center.
liar?
He drove
Let's-
Donald Trump around in a limo.
Let me-
He overheard Donald.
Come on, man.
A witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard Donald Trump's. Another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement.
Liar! She
into
called
the
him a liar!
FBI's Threat Operations Center. He.
Oh, this shit is juiced. the heck was that? Is that? Oh. It sounded weird.
I don't feel good.
Okay.
Can you take it when you're at school in the morning?
In the morning?
Yeah. I need like stuff, but what are you doing?
What?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, because I'm trying to hear you. I'm live right now.
Oh, I said I don't feel good. I'm making tea right now. But we only have like lemon.
Yeah.
So, and like Earl Grey. But if you could take her to school,
Yeah, I could probably take her.
that'd be awesome. Because I don't know how well I'm gonna sleep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ugh. All right. But that went out. Back to Tato Lou.
Drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Let it go, Ted.
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not ask a question, Mr.
He doesn't
You're
want
allowed
to talk
to.
about
I did
the
not ask a
horrific
question.
crime in California. He does not want to talk about
I did not ask a
crime
question.
in his
You
state.
can't just ask this stuff. I did not ask a question.
Meeting will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time. I think our next witness will be more than happy to let the Attorney General.
Madam Attorney General, would you like to?
Gentleman from Alabama is recognized for 5 minutes.
You have a few minutes to respond.
Thank you, Congressman. This is what Congressman Liu didn't want to talk about. He didn't want to talk about all the crime that is happening in his state.
Oh my.
California refuses to honor detainees because of its dangerous sanctuary city policies. The refusal means California has released 4,561 criminal illegal aliens onto its street. The crimes of these aliens include 31 homicides, 661 assaults, 574 burglaries, 184 robberies, 1,489 dangerous drug offenses, 379 weapons offenses, and 234 sexual predator offenses. That's why they are deflecting. That's why they're trying to talk about the Epstein files. That's currently happening in his home state.
Attorney General, thank you for being here, and I wanted to make sure you had time to respond. I'm going to change gears a little bit. In October, when you were testifying before the Senate, I know you and my friend Senator Katie Britt discussed concerns of infiltration of the illegal Chinese vapes into our country. As a father of three, obviously, I'm worried a little bit about this, and I believe that many parents in the country share our similar concerns. Can you provide an update on DOJ's work in this space over the past few months?
On the vapes?
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. We're talking about the vapes. And this should be an issue where both sides of the aisle can work together on. Parents need to understand, children need to understand that so many of these are being manufactured in China, sent to our country, and have the potential to be laced with lethal drugs.
Oh my.
We've seen an overdose. We need to get on the front end of this before we have another crisis and children are dying. I've partnered with Secretary Kennedy, of course, at HHS on this matter.
Yeah, I can't listen to that. Not even the music. Can't listen to her bullshit. Berliner. All right, we're gonna listen to like one more. All hell breaks loose. All right, you know we haven't gave no love to Thomas Massey here, and Massey is probably the only reason they're getting so deep in that ass, like up to the elbow in that ass right now. Speaking of getting in that ass, painting's going well. This little problem area here where the light kind of meets up and turns into several different shades of light. It takes patience. It takes patience, goddammit. Nice and quiet a second. Not listening to the fucking pillaging of Congress. Of all these southern gentlemen trying to defend the honor of Miss Bondi. How dare you? How dare you suggest I lied when I just lied? Hails bells. All right, where are we going for the dramaticness? Somebody talking about destroyed. Oh, Don Lemons. They're trying to get him in jail. Because he went and reported on a church break-in and shit.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
All right, Kentucky. See how Thomas Massey lets loose. How he tells her that dog don't hunt.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
May I respond very briefly to her statement?
Well, I think we can do that probably on one of our members' time.
Okay, thank you. I don't want that to get away. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact. A list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victims' survivors' names, right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking. Co-conspirators. Fully redacted. And by the way, go ahead and redact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now your deputy Attorney General said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files. But he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD-302 release. These are the documents that we need, that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Finish my answer. Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr.
Chairman.
This is how this works.
Can I have my time back? Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from...
All right, I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So, yes. I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed? There was one redaction out of over 4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. You need to get on to watch matter.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because this is bigger than Watergate. This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to know at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wexner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering.
The gentlelady's allowed, the Attorney General's allowed to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican, Democrat.
All right, I have unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for a UC.
All right. This is an example. I'm submitting these 302 forms that are entirely redacted. Even when you go to look at them.
Without objection.
I'm submitting a witness statement that implicates Les Wexner.
Without objection.
I'm submitting an article from the New York Times that the DOJ released nude photos and identifiable pictures of the victims. I'm submitting a letter from AG Bondi to Kash Patel, imploring him to quit keeping the files when you found out that they were keeping files from you, because they're still redacting files that you...
Chairman, are we going to recess for votes?
Yes, we are.
I'm submitting for unanimous consent a document of 17 individuals who've resigned because of the Epstein files.
Without objection. Just want to check on how much time we have left in votes, but one thing I've learned here of late that I'll wait on this.
Damn, Massey pissed her off.
Oh, they just
that
called.
was
Okay.
delicious.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Maryland.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Beautiful. How dare you? You're a hypocrite. Why did you stop being such a hypocrite? We might have to go there. There's a little bit of sing-songy emotion
There's a New York
there.
Times article titled
The excoriations. Lacrimosa. Lacrimosa. That sounds like a drink. It's going to be fixed by my barista.
FBI agent who tried to investigate ICE officer in shooting resigns.
Without objection. Thank you. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, I think you and pretty much everybody else here and throughout the country believes that convicted sex offenders don't deserve special treatment or privileges in prison. And yet Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, received perk after perk in prison. In July, she had a 2-day interview with your deputy and President Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche. Just days after that, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's nicknamed Club Fed, we've heard reports that she's been afforded special privileges: puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
Let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to understand
I'm glad that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things.
When
but
we're
I
not
want
agreeing.
you to know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison as soon as possible. But what she has told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them unless she gets clemency from Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence within the administration. But that begs the question, who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on a subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So, of course, we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So, as we've heard, she took the fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing. And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency.
That was like the best
Donald Trump pardon
silly
or commute
goose energy.
her sentence? Should she be released from prison, yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about
when
what
it
should
agrees
happen.
with you, but you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about
murdered
her all
by
the
a
time,
violent crime
but
offender
I am not
in
here
your
to
jurisdiction.
testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You are
That's what you're getting.
obsessed with attack.
I want you to know that your own DOJ employee, he's recently been demoted and had some other problems, advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You couldn't properly identify her relative.
Oh my
I
God.
absolutely
It's embarrassing.
have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family. Her family feels well treated. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by former Attorney General William P. Barr entitled, "Why Pam Bondi Didn't Publish All the Epstein Files in 30 Days? The answer is simple. It was not possible." From the Wall Street Journal.
Well said. Without objection, the gentlelady from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam,
May I respond 20 seconds to something that Congresswoman Ross said?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. She also opposed a sex offender registry as head of North Carolina ACLU. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. And I'd like to pick up where you left off a moment ago, because we convene here today as a committee for the stated purpose of conducting oversight of the Department of Justice. And so it's critical for us to focus for...
Uh-oh. Oh, poor Bondi. She can't stick with the rules. There's rules here. All of the dramatics. Bondi goes ballistic. Let's see. What's the most dramatic take? Opposition to gender-affirming care for minors. The most important things. Visibly shaken. Hot take, Adam Mockler. Yeah. The Dow? $50,000. The Dow. Oh, Kid Rock just ended his career. He's got a few cucks that still listen to him. He's an alien. Well, I've got a wide variety of stuff that I get interested in. Shit. Data? Well, AI, there we go. Alright. Dude, friggin' Santa Claus. BBC Maestro. Somebody needs to use that as their screen name. I've had it. Wow, there's nothing... There's nothing super new with the meltdowns. A lot of this stuff down here that's like 3 weeks old. I will never forgive. Me neither. Affair revealed. Okay, we'll take this back to the beginning. This is perfect for that.
In one of our previous segments on Epstein, on the files, we talked about how there was a text conversation back and forth between Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon, where they appeared to be discussing how, oh yeah, you know, Trump actually seems like he's a lot more calm these days. And then they're, well, why? Why is he calm? And one of them says, well, you know, he's got that new one that's working in the White House. And they go on to say, I call her knee pads. And apparently she's doing the work that Melania won't do, if you know what I'm saying. So the theory was this new person who's working in the White House, this young woman who's working in the White House, is sucking off Trump. That is what Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon were casually saying back and forth to each other, as if it was common knowledge, by the way. As if it was common knowledge. Like, oh yeah, everybody knows that that's what she's doing, right? Well, now we appear to have further verification of this theory based on a Michael Wolff email that just came out. So here we go. According to the Epstein files, Trump was bragging to his friends that he was banging his personal secretary, Madeleine Westerhout, during the first term, including during holidays when the first family went to Mar-a-Lago and he stayed behind. Yikes. Okay, so here we go. Have your throw-up bucket ready as we dive right in ski. So this is from Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein. Subject FYI.
Thank you for
This
the
is what
warning.
I'm now going with. What do you think? In the White House, the president, General, surprise, announced that he would not accompany his family to Mar-a-Lago over the holidays. A confounding, even alarming turn for anyone who knew how much he valued a golf and warm weather opportunity over any presidential business. Melania certainly had no intention of staying behind. Among other issues, friends suggested that she was still furious about his fireside Christmas Eve chat with a 7-year-old boy, during which Trump asked the boy if he still believed in Santa. Melania didn't think that was funny. Somebody said one aide, Trump was clearly a guy who had never dealt with a 7-year-old. In an empty White House, Trump's personal secretary, 28-year-old Madeleine Westerhout, brought his papers and call sheets from the West Wing up to the residence, finding him, she told friends, in his underwear. And herein, suddenly, was another subplot. Westerhout had been the elevator girl in Trump Tower during the transition. The comely young woman ferrying dignitaries and job seekers up to the president-elect soon became something of a meme herself. Bannon recalled noting that Trump took a particular interest in her. A leering Trump kept repeating, "She's got a way about her," his signature and creepy stamp of approval for young women. Now the president was telling friends that he wasn't staying at the White House because of the shutdown. He was staying because he was banging Madeleine. Shutdown bravado, locker room talk, or all part of a new alternative reality that only he seemed to be living in. Again, this is the second reference. The first time, like I said, was Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein casually talking about this, and they called her knee pads. You know what's so crazy? What's so crazy is, I'm not even sure this is going to crack the top 10 list when it comes to scandals for this week. For this week, y'all. For this week. And that's how far gone we are during this Trump regime, during this era in American decline, because I actually totally get it why this wouldn't even crack the top 10 scandals for this week. Because there's so much other. Trump is literally starving Cuba to death, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
They're green-lighting Israel, again, finishing the genocide in Gaza, going back to, like, mass slaughters. Like, this is shit that's casually happening right now. Never mind the fascism that they're unleashing on the country, the concentration camps they're building, the plot to steal the election that we just talked about, okay? There's
And
so
I've been
much going
saying
on.
that shit for months.
I don't blame people for missing, like, oh shit, the president, there's some evidence that the president had a freaking affair here. We have multiple casual conversations at the highest level, behind the scenes, of people who know him and are in touch with him all the time. And you won't see this on CNN. You won't see this on MSNBC. You definitely won't see this on Fox News. You won't see this on
Freaking
independent media shows.
Kalinske and his son in.
You're only going to get it here.
Son in here.
So again, the
So I
two
know
pieces
he's-
we have. Steve Bannon and
I don't
Jeffrey
know, is
Epstein
he my
talking to
age?
each other. They called her knee pads, and they said Trump's been more calm lately because something's going on there, right? And
I've
then
got
now
the
you
son
have
in
Michael
down
Wolff
here.
saying this. The counter argument to it is, and this is certainly possible, Trump could have just fucking lied and told people like, oh yeah, you know that one right there, I'm doing stuff with her. I don't think that by him. He fucking lies about everything. He could be lying to people about, oh yeah, this hot young one here, she really likes me. She's doing things to me. You know what I'm saying?
God damn.
I don't put
it's
it by him
fucking
to just
gross.
lie about that. So understand, all this is just alleged. But you tell me, the fact that we now have two different things. And guys, I forgot what it was, but in the mid-90s, I forgot the exact year, but in the mid-90s, when you had the scandal come out about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, that like dominated the headlines for fucking months. For months. Here we are with what appears to be a very similar type scandal, and crickets. Again, you won't hear about it anywhere else. You're only going to hear about it here.
Yeah, because Bill Clinton wasn't attacking American fucking cities, bruh.
Proven true beyond any reasonable doubt. It still probably wouldn't crack the top 10 of the scandals living in this country now for this week, right? With the ushering in of fascism, with literally the worst corruption we've ever seen ever by far, and it's not even close. Even Ann Coulter knows that. Even Mike Cernovich knows that. All these right-wing figures, low-key, will admit to people behind the scenes, like, oh, of course, they're just like flaunting the corruption in our face. There's so much shit so often that people will just shrug and yawn about this, which, by the way, gets to the double standard, doesn't it? Right? And when it's a Democratic president, Bill Clinton, him getting blown is like 2 months straight of hair on fire coverage. With Trump, it won't even be a mention. And that's the thing. You can't keep up. It's like impossible to even keep up with all this stuff. But, Madeline Westerhout and Trump, I don't know. I think she denies it. But, you already have multiple
I would
references
hope so.
in these files here. Is Trump flat out lying about this too? Or was a little something going on? And that also begs the question, well, there's other women in there now, right? These like Oval Office directors. How about them? Should that be
Nah, they
investigated
ain't
as
having
well?
that shit.
Because he always seems to keep these people. You know, there was speculation about Laura Loomer, y'all. About Laura.
Yeah, bro.
There you have it.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
You know you want to. All right, I think I've had it with the news. Well, news-ish. It's more entertainment than news. Attempted kidnapping of a bikini barista. So this goes with this ruckus. All hell breaks loose. I don't like the William Tell overture. Never have. Shadow operative. Who's the shadow op person? We're gonna have to have a little bit of a Tom Clancy action there. Damn. I'm gonna have to let that dry a little bit before I keep messing with it. Or I can just go with a dab here and see if it mixes up a little bit. Oh no, that's completely dried out. Maybe it will. Oh, that's just a little tiny dab of red paint. Let's go ahead and give that a bit of a finger smudge. That works too. That does work. One thing that everybody should remember when they're doing artwork like this, there is not much you can do that's really off the table as far as creative stuff. Like really, if I were so inclined, I could go at this with some melted crayons. Not that it'd do a whole lot of good, but it's an option. It definitely, for damn sure, would be. God, the knee pads conversation, that's horrific. That's like real life horrific. Because my man, like full on shit his pants during a news conference the other day. Like you heard the like ketchup bottle fucking fart. And just, I don't know. I don't even know if he's embarrassed about it. I think he might be so full of ego that when he shits his pants, he just like is fine with letting people friggin' get it drilled into their nostrils and taste like metal on the backs of their tongue. But yeah, I've seen like, I know I saw another video where he friggin' crapped in front of some kids in the Oval Office. Like they both had this stunned look, just looking around like, yeah, bleh. Yeah, imagine the rot down there. I concur. Don't like to imagine, but Jesus, the rot. That's a pretty good word for what we're talking about. As Trump's brain melts. Yeah, I don't know how much I can do. Pam Bondi explodes. Lincoln Project is usually pretty good. They're just a little less dramatic. Dem leadership equals weak sauce. Agreed. Oh, Park Rose. You tell mean truths. What the hell? Shard of the drug deal. I like that title. Trump declares war on Johnson. Peaches. Come here. Peaches. Come here. Is she even in here? Oh, never mind. She's mad at me. She's mad I didn't jump when she wanted me to.
But it's also governors across the country making Donald Trump furious, and that is where I want to start. Because something that Wes Moore had to say just yesterday set off a chain of events that led to Donald Trump attacking a Republican governor this morning.
I can't
use
use
the
this
first
song.
attack on his
I would
party
like
that
to.
we saw. Before we get into...
I can't use that song. Not that I don't like it. I'm just not going to be able to. I don't want to get the copyright strikes, goddammit. I think Tchaikovsky's a pretty good match.
to how he is now threatening Mike Johnson's job with an outrageous series of posts. But it starts with Wes Moore calling out Donald Trump because as he was planning to meet with all of the governors across the country, he decided he would kick out the only black one. And so Wes Moore called out Trump, and it led Trump to attack a Republican governor.
From your perspective, why are you being excluded from this dinner?
Well, I've long learned that I'm not trying to get inside of the president's psyche. It's not a good use of my time. It's not lost to me that I'm the only black governor in this country, and I find that to be particularly painful, considering the fact that the president is trying to exclude me from an organization that not only all my peers have asked me to help to lead, but then also a place where I know I belong in. And so I've long learned, and I've talked to the people and the children of my state, is that I'm never in a room because of someone's benevolence nor kindness.
The racism is just baked in and expected at this point from Donald Trump. And I have talked to Wes Moore a couple of times, some on camera, some off, as you've seen on the show, and he just doesn't really worry about Donald Trump that much. I think he has a pretty good idea of how to deal with him, that you don't cede any ground, that you don't praise him, that Donald Trump will ultimately always come crawling to you if you display strength. It's something that Mark Carney has been successful at, which is pretty funny considering what just happened with the tariffs that Donald Trump is levying on Canada tonight. But Donald Trump got called out for this for so many reasons and by so many people, including a Republican governor who Trump then went on to go and attack on Truth Social before he later today attacked Republicans in Congress and caused some serious problems for Mike Johnson. So Donald Trump, in a fit of rage, decided that he would call the governor of the great state of Oklahoma a rhino, in which, of course, he won all 77 counties 3 times, the only person to do so, saying that the governor incorrectly stated that his position on the very exclusive governor's annual dinner and meeting at the White House intends to limit invitations to the annual business meeting scheduled for February 20th to Republican governors only. That is false. The invitations were sent out to all governors other than 2, who I feel are not worthy of being there. I did not invite the governor of Colorado, and he also did not invite the governor of Maryland, who he said fraudulently stated that he received military medals, a lie, is doing a terrible job on rebuilding of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and has allowed Baltimore to continue to be a crime disaster. Trump went on to say that he invited slob Governor J.B. Pritzker and horrendous Governor Gavin Newsom. Trump continued his attack on this Republican governor, writing, when Kevin Stitt, the very mediocre at best rhino governor of Oklahoma, was losing his election to a Democrat, primarily because he is bad at his job, he called for my help. I endorsed him and he won. Sorry, my cherished Oklahoma, to have done that to you, President DJT. Okay, so yeah, he's really lost his mind. He's attacking a Republican governor for calling Trump out for not inviting a black governor to the White House, which I think is a fair criticism to make of the openly racist Donald Trump. But that's not the only loss that he has taken at the hands of Republicans, because Republicans in Congress just served him up an L that is really driving him crazy. 6 House Republicans defied Trump on key agenda item in Dem-pushed vote. The House of Representatives passed legislation Wednesday aimed at reversing Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada
Check that
after
out.
several Republicans joined Democrats for a rare rebuke of the Republican commander-in-chief. Democrats successfully got a vote on a measure to reverse Trump's national emergency at the northern border using a mechanism for forcing votes over the objections of House Majority Leadership called a privileged resolution. So Mike Johnson is a puppet of Donald Trump. Let's make that very clear. And when Mike Johnson fails, Donald Trump has failed because he has no political power over his party anymore. And so in response to that fact, he's decided to go to war with them. Donald Trump first wrote on Truth Social, Canada has quite frankly taken advantage of the United States on trade for many years. They are among the worst in the world to deal with, especially as it relates to our, quite frankly, our northern border. Tariffs make a win for us easy. Republicans must keep it that way. And when Republicans didn't keep it that way, Donald Trump wrote, any Republican, quite frankly, in the House or Senate that votes against tariffs will seriously suffer the consequences come election time, and that includes primaries. Seriously suffer the consequences come election time. Our trade deficit has been reduced by 78%. The Dow just hit 50K and the S&P 7,000.
The
All
Dow.
numbers that were considered quite frankly impossible. In addition, tariffs have given us great national security because we were mere mention of the word as countries agreeing to our strongest wishes. Tariffs have given us economic and national security, and no Republican should be responsible for destroying this privilege. President DJD. So Donald Trump is announcing that Republicans who vote against him, and 6 did, mind you, will be facing consequences come election day. Now, for most of the Republicans, almost all who voted against Donald Trump's tariffs, primaries have already passed. There is no time for Donald Trump to throw a MAGA candidate in there to, try to replace Don Bacon, who's retiring. Kevin Kiley is still running in his seat. There's no time for that. So when Donald Trump threatens these guys, he is threatening for Republicans not to vote against them, vote for them in the general election. Let's just run through some of the characters who voted against Trump. Ron Filipkowski of Midas Touch wrote, these are the 6 Republicans who just voted against Trump's Canada tariffs. Thomas Massey, Don Bacon, Brian Fitzpatrick, who's running for re-election, Jeff Hurd, who's running for re-election, Kevin Kiley, who's running for re-election, and Dan Newhouse, who is running for re-election. 2 Republicans Donald Trump does not care about. That's Thomas Massey.
I thought Dan Newhouse was not running
if he
for...
wins that primary, will keep his seat. Don Bacon is retiring, but the other 4 Republicans who could flip the House, Donald Trump is now threatening to cost them their seats, and thus Mike Johnson his speaker.
How old is
he
this?
is actively attacking Mike Johnson's ability
Is
to
this from
keep
today?
his job because he's mad over this
6
tariff vote.
hours.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see
Yeah,
more
me
Republicans
local to Washington.
hoping that there is
Newhouse
another
is my
opportunity
rep,
for them
and,
to vote against the tariffs so that they can go back
just
to their
facts.
constituents and say, hey, I wanted no part of this.
Not too
I
happy
know
about
you
that.
know this is raising your prices. I know you know this is a tremendous burden on American businesses. I didn't have anything to do with it, please believe me. I wouldn't be surprised if more Republicans were trying to kind of get in line with that message. I'm surprised more didn't vote against the tariffs. But maybe it's because they're just so afraid of Donald Trump attacking them on Truth Social and threatening them. Let me remind you, in a general election, this is not about primaries anymore. Donald Trump's not, endorsing an opponent who would walk their way into an easy victory. All of these seats are going to be tough. So when Donald Trump says you should be, you should have some costly attack on you, you should lose something come election day, he is directly threatening Mike Johnson's majority. That is what's happening right now, directly, but also indirectly. Because if you are a Republican who worries about the political threat from Donald Trump, aside from the fact that Republicans also worry about their safety when Donald Trump posts about them directly, it's been well documented, you might say, yeesh, maybe I shouldn't vote against the tariffs. You're hurting your own voting record. You're making it more difficult for you to win your seat. This is just all bad for Mike Johnson. Donald Trump has created a real political problem for
MAGA
Mike Johnson. By going
Johnson.
to war with who? His Republican Party. Just let me tip my hat. Masterful work, sir. Just really great self-sabotage.
All right, she's getting there.
Just genius stuff happening on the Trump team. But this is what we see across the board. with Donald Trump's agenda. It is fail after fail. It is loss after loss. That's just kind of where he stands. Rachel Maddow did a great job. If you need a little smile on your face, even more so than just watching Trump go to war with the GOP, take a look at some of his other recent L's.
Trump's bizarre weaponization guy at DOJ, Ed Martin, who calls himself Eagle Ed. Okay. He's the guy who's been in the lead on freeing all the January 6 prisoners and bringing these doomed, harebrained cases against people like Tish James and James Comey. Today, Ed Martin got stripped of his job titles and they moved his office out of Main Justice. You like your new broom closet, Eagle Ed?
Eagle Ed.
With that Texas special election this weekend, a place Trump won by 17 points, instead going to the Democrat by more than 14 points, a swing of over 30 points in the Democrats' direction in Texas. With Americans now telling pollsters by a 2-to-1 margin that Trump being back in office has made their life worse, not better. Trump has today told a right-wing podcaster, a guy he previously installed at the FBI for some reason, but who's now back to podcasting. Trump today told him that he wants Republicans to, quote, take over elections, meaning literally seizing the elections infrastructure all over the country. Okay. And his bizarro world seizure of ballots from Fulton County, Georgia, may be about to get nuked in court as Fulton County today sued to stop him from doing anything with what they took. The Minnesota U.S. Attorney's Office tonight is reportedly shedding another 8 federal prosecutors who are walking because they apparently cannot abide what the Trump administration is telling them to do in that city with these bizarre and untenable attempts to investigate and prosecute the people Trump's agents killed there and their families, and protesters there, and journalists there. Georgia Fort, one of the Twin Cities journalists who they are trying to prosecute there, is going to join us here live tonight in just a moment. Tonight, the Trump administration has reportedly stood down the Alaska and North Carolina active duty troops they had previously told to prepare to deploy to Minnesota. Tonight, the New York Times reports that the Trump administration has even backed down on its demand to make Harvard University pay them millions of dollars. Just take a look around at where we are 1 year into this. Are they going to be able to build a huge, permanent archipelago of camps, of lawless prison camps? There's pushback everywhere, including in red states, red counties, and red cities, that says no. Are they going to be able to keep up their military-style invasion of U.S. cities? Minneapolis says no. And the whole country says no with them. Are they going to be able to arrest their way through their enemies and through the journalists they single out? No, they're not. They're going to try, but no, they're not. But it is the pushback against them right now that is going to prove all of that out. What we do right now determines the fate of this country.
It has been a string of failures for Donald Trump. That is what he is staring down as Republicans continue to turn on him. And we have to hammer home that point, and it is why you know what I'm about to plug. Shift Media, which you can subscribe to down below in the pinned comment or
get out of
push
here.
to vote.
Get out of here, Jack. Get out of here. I've had it. I've had it. Oh, look. Democracy docket's going a little nuts. I won't say Texas can't go blue. There's a lot more liberal people down there than I guess people realize. But the conservatives are just a different breed. I'm talking like I've ever been to fucking Texas. Hey, I think I'll go with the London version. Yeah. Protester screams in Pamani's face.
Welcome back, everybody, to the show. I hope you are doing well. What an insane show.
Do you know what? This is the perfect music for Minnesota protests. So I'm going to watch this really
we
quick.
have for you today. Thank you so much for joining. Well, as Marjorie...
Mr. Chairman, and welcome Attorney General Bondi.
This is our turn included. Nothing else here can be done.
Where's the protester?
They pretended like there weren't really any Epstein documents they could release. That there wouldn't be any revelations. There's not really anything other than just child pornography, which we wouldn't release to the public, obviously. That was her line, if you remember. And obviously that very quickly got exposed not to be the case, and now we have learned a bunch of revelations and have people listed as co-conspirators. So for her to have this performance of outrage at how Democrats are exploiting this is so sickening. Here's more.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted?
Bro, where is
How many
the footage of
perpetrators
that
are you even
protester
investigating?
Prostitute screaming
that
at her.
minimizes
Come on,
that.
Luke.
She then was... She doesn't choose to just...
Most transparent president.
The time where we go...
To the survivors in the room, which
Oh my
is, will
gosh.
you turn to...
To go after James Comey, Letitia James, Lisa Cook, and Jerome Powell.
We're gonna have, yes, the DOJ is, of course, under the executive
Bro,
branch.
you didn't even show the video. Bad. I'm going to thumbs down you, Luke. I don't like that, man. Actually, I want to thumbs down him. He's a good kid. He's a good kid, goddammit. But I know that the cops went at these guys pretty hardcore after stuff happened. Unicorn riot. They arrested all the dildos. Oh. Protesters throw sex toys. Dildos illegal in Minnesota? I know what this is.
A major drug sweep in Minnesota. Few details are
This
being
is
released, but we
classic
do know
right
that they've
here.
made one bust in Maplewood. That's where Jeff Crilly is standing by right now. Jeff, what do you have going on for us?
They're still inside searching for evidence. I'm told 6 people have been arrested and charged.
Gotta wait for the
with
cop to walk
intent
out.
to possess and deliver cocaine. I'm told it's 34 pounds of cocaine. As I said, they're still inside. They used a battering ram to break through glass.
Yes,
Still
a
inside
battering
searching
ram.
for evidence. I'm told 6 people have been arrested and charged with intent to possess and deliver cocaine. I'm told.
Yes! In a document box. Mmm. That's tasteful. Shit. Look at it flopping around.
Hold as much as 44 pounds of cocaine. As I said, they're still inside. They used a battering ram to break through glass in a steel-reinforced door here. We first heard about it through a tip line call early this afternoon. People...
Wow, poor Jeff Crilly. Yeah, so that was my search, Minnesota dildo. But... well, I guess dildos are good in Texas, too. Well, they might as well do whatever they can with them. They're going to probably outlaw those soon. Or try to give some morality act. Okay, let's see if there's... Oh my. Sheriff's Department are cuckolds! Oh my gosh. This deserves so much more. Let's do it, my peeps.
You are under arrest. Please keep where you are. Follow the rest of the law.
Look at him picking him up. Cowbells and marital aids. That's kind of perfect. Oh, well, it's following up with the other version. Stay off roadway or face penalty.
This is Lieutenant Patrick Chelmo of the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. The unlawful conduct of I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. You are in violation of Minnesota Statute 609.605, unlawful assembly. I am now issuing a public safety order to disperse and order all to assemble the suspension drive immediately dispersed. This is Lieutenant Patrick Chelmo from the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. You are under arrest. Be seated where you are and follow the directions of officers. I say again, you are under arrest. Be seated where you are and follow the directions of officers. Federal guard. Your unlawful behavior would be to leave this area peaceably.
I don't know, you would think that law enforcement might want to try some different tactics when they've got that many people that this pissed off for this long.
You are under arrest. Follow the rest of the officers. You are under arrest. Where you are. Follow the rest of officers. You are under arrest. Where you are. Follow the directions of officers.
Ah.
You are under arrest. Be seated where you are and follow the directions of officers.
Why are you being so aggressive? I'm not doing anything to you.
Free me. Not bad, Minnesota. I like it. You know, I think that's a good place to leave it on. Yeah, I think I'm pretty well done here. I mean, this is probably the best I've felt in a couple of weeks about the direction of this here. I think this is the most that it's looked like the way I've wanted things to look by the end of the night. Let's actually get some water on that. Not bad, my peoples. She looks like a she now. Like a living person. And so what I'll go ahead and do is I'm going to call that good. I will definitely call that good tonight. So yeah, aside from all the fuckery with all the videos that I was watching, and we're just about a half hour past midnight, so this is actually better than I usually do. Further along in the painting. Didn't talk anywhere near as much as I usually do about painting anyway. But I did get to share a great many things. Got to hear Pam Bondi being exceptional at not understanding what an oversight committee does. The clutch the pearl moments were aplenty. They were chock full of that shit. How dare you? How dare you? While you're at it, did you ask Santa Claus why he doesn't give all the kids that want transgender reassignment different genitalia? Did you ask that? Or was that not woke enough for you? Why don't you ask him why he didn't give you your Antifa starter kit? Antifa. Such terrorists. Anti-American. Alright. Enough of that fucking rant. Yeah, so as you can see, been doing a lot of blending, just working it through and working it through. The more you work the paint, it's gonna start to show. Honestly, between this right here, this area alone, just even this part of the forehead, I've probably got at least 10 layers of paint on there before it started to look like that. And so putting in the work matters. Just hopefully if somebody watches this, if they're just starting out and they follow along, if you've got any questions, go ahead and ask me, because really I've been doing this a lot of years, and so I've got good experience, got good sensibilities and ability to figure out how to go about probably getting some improvement on paintings or projects if you want input. But shit, even if you just want somebody to critique your art, I'm happy to. Just send me a message, let me know. If you want to tell me politically I'm a hack, that's fine too. I'll give you the middle finger, and then I'll tell you if your art's up to snuff. Or I might just, use an AI to pretend I only speak Italian, so you have to use an AI to translate. Just depends on the mood, I suppose. But hopefully next time I'm on, what we're going to be looking at is actually having a guest to provide some commentary along with me. Watching clips, talking about whatever. Making sure that the world understands that us crazy displaced people of color, there is room for us, and you're gonna make it. So, in any case, thank you for tuning in if you did, and if you've got any questions, any requests, go ahead and send a message. But thanks for giving me time tonight, and I hope you guys have a good evening. I'll see everybody soon.